This July, Cowes First Nation hosted the 24th Annual Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games. It was an entire week of sport, culture, and recreation, renewing old acquaintances and making new friends. During this half hour, we hope to share with you the spirit of the 1998 Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games. Nestled in the Qu'Appelle Valley on the eastern edge of Crooked Lake is the 100-year-old community of Maryville. This is the site of the 1998 Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games. This community boasts one of the premier golf courses in Saskatchewan, the Last Oak Golf and Country Club, Cowes Community Education Centre, a Roman Catholic church, a rectory and hall, as well as the Cowes Mall containing the Bank of Montreal, Cowes Gas and Grocery, Clean Valley Laundry, Legends Restaurant, a post office, and 2 administration offices. The Cowes First Nation is a thriving community dedicated to the development of local services and resources, contributing to a harmonious, hardworking community. Keeping with this philosophy of local development, the current leadership is committed to the betterment of their people. This prompted the leaders to make a bid for the 1998 Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games.
Well, it gives us good exposure, and I think we're well along in terms of development, both economic development, social development, political development. We have a lot of infrastructure in our community. We have a newly expanded band office and clinic expansion. We have our mall that contains our gas and grocery, our bank, restaurant, post office, laundromat. We have our golf course, and we're hoping to get a new school sometime in the next little while. We have about 19 houses, I believe, that will be started this year, and I'm hoping another 13 will start next year. So it gives us good exposure. It showcases our band to the surrounding communities, to the Indian community in the province. I think it gives our band members who are spread out all over the province in Canada, gives them a good feeling about belonging to Cowes, being a member of our First Nation.
Well, I believe Cowes wanted to host the games for a number of reasons. When anyone hosts the games, you play host to the youth of Saskatchewan. I think, first of all, you want to showcase your community, show that you can do a good job of hosting the summer games, and secondly, to upgrade some of the facilities. I believe the ball diamonds had new lights, the track was done up a little bit, and some of the other facilities were fixed as well. So the summer games brings with it sort of an economic boost to your community whenever you host it, and I think Cowes was fortunate enough to make a fair economic impact on the community during the summer games.
In early 1997, a Summer Games committee was formed. With a lot of hard work and planning, a bid to host the 98 games was put together, which was accepted at the Chiefs Winter Assembly. Then the real work began.
We had a committee that comprised of about 15 people. They all looked after a different area. They all worked before the games. We had a lot of meetings that people attended, and meetings with other organizations to set the games up. The committee was really cooperative. They did a lot of work. A lot of it was volunteer. A lot of it was after hours. And of course, during the games, that meant long days for everybody. You're looking at about 16 to 18-hour days.
The cost of hosting such an event is enormous and would not be possible without the support of government agencies and corporations, large and small. A VIP golf tournament was held at the Games with an invitation to all sponsors to attend. People from all different locations and all walks of life were challenged by the Last Oak golf course and then treated to a steak supper as a small token of appreciation for the generosity of the sponsors who donated money and services to pave the financial road to a successful Summer Games.
We needed a sponsorship out there because Cowes First Nation wouldn't be able to put all the expenses on their own. And we're thankful for all the sponsorship that came in, right from double platinum, or diamond, I should say, right away, all the way down to friends of the games. We're real thankful for the sponsorship, helped us out immensely in that aspect. Like I say, Cowses couldn't afford the games on their own.
Another very important ingredient to the games were volunteers. For over a year, the Games Committee and a vast number of other volunteers worked countless hours to put together the blueprint that would encompass every aspect of the Games. From fundraisers, promotions, and medals to accommodations, food, restrooms, and venue construction. Every aspect, big or small, had to be taken into account.
The volunteers, they were really important to help the games in all aspects, whether it was from cleaning up to cooking, helping out in the golf. We had approximately 300 volunteers helping off and on throughout the games. Volunteers started approximately 4 or 5 in the morning and went right till all hours. Actually, volunteers went 24 hours, that included security. So volunteers played an important part of the games.
On July 3rd, the first leg of the 1998 Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games began with one of the most sacred cultural events, the Lance Run. It is a great honor to be accepted for the Lance Run. Selected youth from different First Nations carry the spirit of the Lance from one host First Nation to the next. The Lance was carried over 400 kilometers in 6 days. For the runners, this was a trip that would enhance the cultural and spiritual understanding of their people and create a lasting bond that would remain with them for the rest of their lives. Upon arrival, the opening ceremonies began. Crowds of spectators from all over the province watched as the Lance runners, elders, war veterans, RCMP, dignitaries, and the parade of First Nations athletes marched into the grounds, displaying their flags and colors and showing their cultural unity. This was followed by prayer, flag and honor songs, and speeches by dignitaries.
You know, it's difficult to believe that 25 years ago, where the Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games first got underway. And during that period of time, it has grown to become one of the largest sporting events in the province of Saskatchewan. Not only has it increased the recognition of the First Nations people in our society, but it has built strong bodies, strong minds, and strong character in our youth.
And I wanted to pay special tribute to the elder that's holding the lance and to all the lance runners that competed, because they basically united this province again. And unity is what our elders continually speak about, and working together for the youth, working together for the young children. And that lance that's there symbolizes that. I want to pay a special tribute to that, to the work that was done in the prayers and the keepers that looked after that in the previous year. Because this lance now will be here in Cowesses for the remaining year. And then next year again, when the Summer Games are hosted for the silver anniversary at Big River, that lance will be run again from Cowesses all the way up north. So it goes throughout this province, and it unites our people from the north, the south, the east, and the west. All the numbered treaties, treaty number 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, we all work together collectively. And in the FSIN 24 years ago, the leadership said, let's get our youth organized and let's invest in our youth. And the Summer Games came to be. And the leadership that worked so hard to work for our youth, we see that fruit bearing, that fruit is here today because the different people that participated over the past 24 years have taken leadership positions. They're abstaining from alcohol and drugs. They're leading good, healthy lifestyles. And that's what these are all about, investing in our youth, making sure they have that good respect for themselves and their communities. And that's what these youth are all about, these games are all about. And the youth that will be participating, you are ambassadors for yourselves and your families and your communities. And that's a big responsibility. Compete hard, play hard, have that respect again for your fellow competitor, work hard. And even if you don't achieve a medal at the end of these Summer Games, by the mere fact that you're here participating, you are all winners.
Following the speeches, the crowd was treated to a special outdoor concert by the Fifth Generation. and the evening closed off with a wonderful display of fireworks. This is a time for fun and relaxation, a time to be with friends and family, far removed from the social prejudice and the pressures of everyday life. A time to celebrate the ways of today's First Nations people and that of their ancestors. A time for all to come together as one before the friendly competition of tomorrow. In the First Nations culture, everything has life. Rocks, trees, air, and the sun. Anything you can see, hear, or feel. And all of these things have spirits. Each day at the Games begins and ends with a prayer from one of the elders to give thanks to the Creator for the things He has bestowed upon us. Another important ingredient of the Games is the family environment. The Games are different from many other sporting events, as the family atmosphere is as important as the Games themselves.
I think that's very important. I think the whole family being out here and experiencing the whole week of Summer Games is very important, not only for the athletes themselves, but for the parents and the chaperones that get to come along. They get to experience new things, and they get to experience them along with their children, which in today's world doesn't happen very often. You know, the kids go out and do their own thing, the parents go out and do their own thing, and there's not a lot of time that they get to spend together sharing the same experience. So when they come to Summer Games and Winter Games, they get to experience things together and have the same experiences, so that, you know, they can go back home and talk about them, not just in their family, but with other people.
The Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games began 24 years ago because of the exclusion of First Nations youth from mainstream sports and many unique cultural differences. We asked the founder of the Games, Tony Cody, to explain why he got involved.
I think the reason for that was I noticed that there was never really any participation of our Indian athletes in any kind of summer or provincial games throughout the province, and we thought it would be best if we started training our own children participating in games such as this. They'd give them that confidence, so if they ever wanted into the integrated provincial winter and summer games, they'd be in a better situation, and they'd be in physical condition then.
Through sport, culture, and recreation, each participant gets a lot more out of competing than a sporting experience. Through organized sport, they also learn about fair play, playing in a team atmosphere, and it strengthens their self-esteem.
Well, what it does for them, it allows them, I guess, two things. Number one is to meet other young First Nations youth throughout the province in the form of competition. And more importantly, I think it realizes and reaffirms in their mind that how important the total development of a young man and a young woman can be through sport. And I think those are the things that we hope to do by hosting these games.
The excitement of competition and experience of the cultural richness and diversity places a strong emphasis on the positive development of the First Nations youth. The confidence and desire of the athletes was evident throughout the games, as everyone competed to the best of their ability, accepting both victory and defeat in the true spirit of sportsmanship.
I'm the fastball coordinator for the Summer Games. We have 10 districts throughout Saskatchewan, 10 district representatives from different tribes. We're playing here with about 140 games in 3.5 days. It does take a lot of volunteers. We're a little short today. Some must have slept in, but we're going. We've got it going anyways somehow.
Among the code of ethics at the Games are to be free of drugs and alcohol, be fair at all times no matter what the cost, carry out the roles and responsibilities to the best of their abilities, accept both victory and defeat with pride and compassion, never give up, quarrel or cheat, believe in the honesty and integrity of opponents and officials, and recognize and applaud honesty. These rules and regulations were followed without question by the coaches and athletes, as they knew it was a great honor to represent their respected communities, and that sportsmanship and respect are much more important than winning. We asked Chief Pelche what he thinks the athletes gain from participating.
Well, the least they'll gain is they're getting involved in an organized, healthy activity. And this is all put on by Indian people themselves, and we're doing that for our youth. And I think it gives us a sense of a good feeling about ourselves to promote such an organized activity for our kids. I think it provides a good model for the youth to look up to in terms of what they'll be expected to do for their children when they get to be parents and when they get to be the leaders and when they get to run things in the community. So it gives them a good role model, good motivation, good inspiration. I'm father of 6 kids here on the reserve, and it's good for them to have activity, organized activity, healthy activity.
Over the past 24 years, the games have grown tremendously, and with the increased participation, the skill level has also increased. These strides have enabled some of the athletes to move on to other events.
When we first held the first set of summer games in 1974, we had about 600 athletes. This year we have 3,200 athletes. The boys and girls that participate really have the abilities to compete. A lot of them would be able to go to a higher level if they so chose. We do have what we call the indigenous games, more or less like an international. We have the United States participating as well as the Canadian athletes. And Saskatchewan has been has done well for the last 3 sets of indigenous games. They've always come up on top with the most points for their contingent.
All the guys deserve a good round of applause as well. Coaches, the mums and the dads, bring your kids out here to be with them here for the duration of the games.
Along with the full medal sports of softball, soccer, track and field events, golf was selected as a demonstration sport for the 1998 Games. Glenn Pratt explains why the committee decided on golf.
Well, of course, with the Last Oak Golf and Country Club right here on the First Nation, it only made sense. We have one of the most beautiful courses in Saskatchewan, but not really a lot of people don't know about it. So now that we had the summer games here, there's a lot of people that commented that were from the north or from other parts of the province that had never been to the Cowicess First Nation or the golf course, and I know all the athletes really enjoyed the golf course. It was tough, it was nice, the views excellent out there, so it only made sense to have golf in the summer games.
To make sure the little ones weren't left out, the committee had all kinds of performers and events, as well as playgrounds, trampolines, and pony rides to keep the kids busy and happy.
Every day during the summer games to help keep the athletes busy during the evening. We had a Much Music video dance, which I think went over very well with the kids. I know we enjoyed it here. The kids all got to dance and listen to different music and things like that, and I think they really enjoyed themselves. We also had a band called Fifth Generation, which is a family act, and they're Polynesian, and they told us more stories, and they made it more of an event. It wasn't just about music and singing and dancing. They made it more of a cultural event, so that the children not only got to listen to them and enjoy them, but also got to learn something while they were at the concert.
Now my world is just tumbling down. I can say it's so pretty, but you're nowhere around. Nights are long, the days are so sad. I just keep thinking about the love that we had, and I'm missing you, and nobody knows it but me.
In the Native culture, it is important to always treat your guests with honor and consideration, to give your best food and comforts. This was done in grand style. 2 huge tents were erected to house the eating area, where food was prepared daily by the Games volunteers. It is a huge undertaking to feed 5,000 people 3 meals a day for a week, but the Games Committee made sure that no one went hungry. And if anyone was so inclined, there were canteens all over the place where people could buy hamburgers, hot dogs, chocolate bars, chips, or pop. Not to mention the Dickie D folks selling ice cream in record numbers. The weather didn't always cooperate. It rained every day, and when it wasn't raining, the heat sometimes became almost unbearable. But this didn't hamper the competitors' enthusiasm at all. The athletes found ways to cool down when it was hot, and there were ample places to take refuge when it rained. One such place was the exhibitors' tent. Companies from all over took advantage of the crowds of people at the games to show off their products.
The sponsors of the games were ones that set up in the trade show, mainly to work with First Nations people. Let us get acquainted with them, see how they are in the sports and whole aspects of the Aboriginal culture.
Thank you.
There were also several vendors where people could purchase Indian art necklaces, beads, and clothing, as well as balloons and other small treasures. Another building that enjoyed a large audience was the Youth Cultural Village. The Cultural Village was set up to entertain and enlighten the athletes, chaperones, and family members when they were not participating in their events. In here, the kids could get inspired, learn about career possibilities, have a laugh, or listen to music.
For days, my world is a flood. Slowly I've drawn, I won with the mud. But if I can't survive the 40 days of my mind is rushing while I'm rushing away to me up. So I let it can't follow me up. Knocking out down, knocking out down, knocking out. Lift me up when I fall in. Lift me up, I'm weak and I'm dying. Lift me up, I need you to hold me. Lift me up, and keep me from drowning again. Lift me up when I'm falling.
I think the Cultural Village is very important because it makes Games Week a little more well-rounded. It helps to inform the athletes that the Summer Games just isn't about athletics. It's not about the track and field. It's not just about the ball. It's about everything. It also includes stories from the elders, teachings from the elders. The athletes get to sit down in the teepee village and converse with the elders and hear old stories, hear about old ways, which I think is what the Summer Games is all about. It's about not only teaching the kids that athletics are important, but teaching them that the cultural activities are also important, and that this is all part of, I guess, what being a First Nations person is all about.
So in the end, everyone who participated in the games had fun. They made new friends and found the competitive and cultural spirit of the First Nations people was alive and well at Cows's. Organizers were more than happy with the results and had these closing comments on the success of the games.
It proves that the Cows's First Nation is one of many communities that can fully support an event such as the Saskatchewan Indian Summer Games. So the Cows's community, it's been a win-win situation. They've put on a great show, and I know that the other 71 bands throughout the province are very proud of what the Cows's First Nation has done.
It's a really nice community. When you come here, a lot of people made the comments that it's like coming on a vacation and stuff like that. So it's really nice when you can have a community that does have the facilities, because I've been to a few summer games where they have really limited facilities, limited resources, and here we had it all, and it just made sense to have the games here, and maybe someday the games will come back again.
Oh, I believe we've helped to put Cows's on the map. When you talk about Cows's, people actually know where Cows's First Nation is now. Also, in respect to the people we have visiting here, a lot of them said they didn't realize that Cows's had so many things available here on the reserve, like the mall and the ball diamonds, the beaches that are so close. They didn't realize that we had quite the amount of things that we had. They were scared they were coming to a backwoods reserve, but we surprised a lot of people when they came here.
A lot of kids and even coaches, chaperones, and parents, spectators said this was an excellent facility. They love the valley and they love Cows's.
I'd like to thank all our corporate sponsors, Image Cable TV being part of that. Without the involvement of Cows's and without the involvement of our corporate sponsors, that these things would not be possible. So I'd like to say thank you to Cows's and also thank you to our corporate sponsors.
No matter how big, no matter how small, the spirit of the land lives in us all. No matter how big, no matter how small, the spirit of the land lives in us all. No matter how big, no matter how small.
Next one. Next.
We're not here to be like stars or anything. We're here to tell one story, and this is the story of Big Bear.
But I will not live the rope around my neck.
This is the Pasqua Reserve in southern Saskatchewan, 200 square miles of rolling hills and prairie. 150 years ago, this was the land of Big Bear. Here in the summer of 1998, the epic events of the life of the legendary native leader are being played out in a 4-hour, $8.5 million television miniseries. The production began last May in Quebec.
Well, you know, we have to do about 14 anyway. Those people have to move down that way.
The director and co-writer is Edmonton Métis Gil Cardinal.
It's a very human, universal story in terms of a man seeing and understanding the inevitable and trying to prepare himself and his family to face the inevitable change coming. That's, you know, I mean, that's something I think that all people could understand.
30 years ago, Edmonton author Rudy Weeb became fascinated with a Western Canadian Aboriginal chief named Big Bear. Then, just a footnote in Canadian history.
When I first started discovering things about him, all I could find was obscure references, a few things in notes and so on. All he was known as, you know, is basically a guy who wouldn't sign the treaties, and he got in trouble at Frog Lake. That was it.
Rudy's epic novel, The Temptations of Big Bear, went on to win the Governor General's Award.
Roll sound. Rolling.
Now, a quarter of a century later, his vision